Hey everyone, it's me, Ari Dosset, Con Rashid. I'm your anthropologist and sociologist. Listen, stop being so easily fooled. There is a misconception out there. I hope you don't have this misconception, but if you do, it's good you're listening to this video. Some people think that only people with a low education or people who didn't have an education can be tricked by con artists and scam artists. Some people think that your IQ determines whether or not you can easily fall for tricks and for scams. Well, I'm here to tell you that's absolutely not true. There are many people who are highly educated, some even have PhDs, who fall for cons and scams. So, yes, IQ does play a role in how likely it is that you'll fall for a scam or a con, but it's not all the only factor that determines it. There is one factor when it comes to the probability of you being conned or scammed that people don't consider. And that is the following. Are you willing to lie to yourself? Question, are you willing to lie to yourself? If that answer is yes, then guess what? There's a high probability that a scam artist or con artist can trick you and exploit you. As a matter of fact, because you're willing to lie to yourself, you increase the likelihood of you being taken advantage of by others. Let me explain why. And I'm going to use a parable to explain this. Let's say that, just a common example. You are married. Your husband, you love him, he loves you, that's fine. Your relationship with your parents had issues in the past, but hey, since you got married, you made up with your parents, everything is fine. At least that's what you think. One day, your mother comes to visit you to see the grandchildren. And the visit was brief because your mother had to go to a doctor's appointment. After she left, your 5-year-old son asks you, Mommy, does grandma love you? You look at your son. You're shocked with the question. You say, honey, of course grandma loves me. But you see the face of your 5-year-old son. Your 5-year-old son is not convinced at all. Now, this example may be a bit extreme, but you get where I'm going with this. Your 5-year-old son, whose mind isn't even developed yet, can clearly pick up that the way your mother is treating you doesn't add up. He doesn't feel safe with your mother based on how your mother is treating you. And he's just a 5-year-old. Now, how can it be that the 5-year-old becomes uncomfortable with how your mother, which is his grandmother, is treating you, but you are not even aware of it? That is because you, based on what you needed, which is a mother who's looking after you, based on that need, you decided to put up with your mother's bad behavior. Now, if it's the case that your mom is just mentally ill or she has some issues she needs to process, you know what? Give her space. Let her go in therapy and all that. But if it's the case that your mom is wasteful towards you, I'm sorry, but you should never accept that. It is not acceptable. It was not acceptable when you were a child growing up, and especially not acceptable now that you're a grown woman. She should not have a wasteful attitude towards you. But you, because of your upbringing, maybe you grew up in church and told you honor your mother and father, never talk bad about your parents. Or maybe because you ever did complain about your mom and other people scold you for it, you were traumatized, people scolding you for it, so you say, I'm not going to do that again. Or maybe you simply are not willing to admit that your own mother may have jealousy and envy issues towards you. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't matter. In any case, you are lying to yourself. There are obvious symptoms that the way your mother is treating you, even talking to you, is not proper. It's not even right. And the fact alone that your 5-year-old son called it out means that all the other adults around you are aware of it too. But they are keeping silent. They're not intervening. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to get in the middle of it. They want to quote unquote mind their own business. So the other adults around you are not even hinting towards you that the way your mother is treating you is improper and it doesn't add up. So they are part of her bad behavior towards you. So it's not just your mom that's the issue here. The people around you too, including your own husband. How come your husband never picked up that the way your mother is treating you is not right? Don't tell me as a grown man he's so slow he can't pick up when someone is treating his wife in a condescending or negative manner. Don't tell me that. What I'm telling you here is that we as humans, we have the talent of lying to ourselves. When something happens that is harmful or hurtful towards us, and we can clearly see there's no excuse for this thing happening to us, it could have easily been prevented by other people, when we clearly see that the community, not just your mom or dad or your spouse or specific individuals, but when we see that the community did us dirty, because the community is a multitude of people and we cannot take on the whole community on our own, we feel so vulnerable, so threatened. We don't want to admit it. We don't want to admit the community did us dirty. So we focus on the specific individual who did us wrong, or we focus on a specific individual that made us feel bad. Just know that we are social creatures. We are social creatures designed to operate in communities. So, you didn't even give yourself your first name or your native language that came from the community you grew up in, or from the group you were raised in. And listen, when you misbehave, others are likely to call it out or dissociate from you or shun you, whatever. So when you act in the way people don't like or people are upset about, you'll face the consequence from them. If it's a severe thing, they will even call the cops on you to have you locked up. How then, when others are treating you in a less way, nobody's anywhere to be found? I want you to think about that. But too often, we don't want to admit when the community does dirty. Because we don't want to believe that the community is willing to do that. We want to believe, just the bad guys who are criminals in the streets, those are the bad guys. We want to believe, it's the terrorists across the ocean in some cave, part of some toxic religion that's willing to blow themselves up, is those people are the bad guys. Or we want to believe, there may be some people in government, there's some government officials who are corrupt, they're the bad apples in the basket, we get them out. We want to believe that there's just people over there that are the problem. But don't admit the people over there, even if they're bad and evil people, and it's proven, they're not close to you. So their effect on you is very small. It's those around you, or those you're around on a regular basis, those are the ones that can affect you the most. So if you have some defects or deficiencies, it can't just only be you. Even if you were the one making bad decisions, how come people didn't stop you or they didn't hinder you making those bad decisions? Just because you're an adult doesn't mean people should let you do whatever you want. Just because you're an adult, you can do whatever you want to do, so-called. If you are drunk, they should call a taxi for you, not allow you to drive. If you are quite depressed, they should alert you and make a call for you if necessary. I mean, the community has obligations towards you. It's not just you that owe other people. Other people owe you too. There must be a balance over there. It happens with so many people. They deny when the community fails them. Whether the failure was unintended or whether the failure was intended, people are just wasteful, doesn't matter. They have a aversion and a reluctance to admit community failure. Let's say you're a student, you're going to university, but you need to get a student loan to be in university. And you look around you, your relatives, they're all broke. And those who have work are often fired. All of your relatives almost are broke. If you look at your own neighborhood where you grew up in, people are broke there. And it's not that they're all disabled and they can't work. They're healthy people who are able to work and have better incomes. But almost everyone around you is broke all the time. And you also look at your own parents, they made bad financial decisions in the past, wasting money, all of that. So now I realize, hold on a minute. If the people around me would have been more financially responsible, I would have been better off. I wouldn't even needed this student loan. They could have offered me a deal. But now you have to go to strangers, sign a deal with them with interest, and they're willing to use bailiffs, debt collectors on you to get the money back later. You have to go into debt now just to study. Because you finding a job to pay off for your own studies, the tuition fee is so high. Then you realize, hold on a minute, some of my fellow students have relatives who have their own businesses. So you look at yourself and think, hold on a minute, why are the people around me so broke all the time? How come they don't own up to this, do something about it? So they didn't just fail themselves, also failed you. It's all something you need to admit. Or maybe you realize later in life that, let's say that you came from a household where, either the father or the mother, one of the parents was a bit emotionally out of balance. And later in life, you have anxiety issues. And you couldn't trace where anxiety issues came from. So you go to psychiatrists, you look for help, and then it all comes out. You realize that you develop bonding issues because of it. And now that you look back, you realize, hold on a minute, how come nobody intervened? How come nobody intervened with my parents? How come nobody even told me when I was a teenager, you need some help, or are you okay? What I'm saying is, too often it happens that we just lie to ourselves because admitting community failure towards us is quite intense. But let me tell you, if you are willing to lie to yourself continuously, you are setting yourself up to be exploited and harmed by con artists and scam artists. Because you're actually violating yourself. You're going against your own well-being. You're harming your own long-term well-being by lying to yourself. And by doing that, you're damaging both yourself and everyone you're involved with. You're operating in lack and violence, namely violence towards yourself. But this violence towards yourself will also harm other people. So you're operating in lack and violence, or what the Bible calls darkness. How do you expect to have healthy, good outcomes when you operate in darkness? It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. There are even believers like this. Look, I'm not saying that if you are real with yourself, that you can never be tricked by bad people. I mean, there more comes with it, okay? I mean, being tricked by con artists or scam artists is a complex matter. There are more factors involved. But there's one key factor that increases your likelihood of being conned or scammed by others. There's one factor that increases your probability of falling for scams and cons, and that is you being willing to lie to yourself. Look, if others neglect you, that's pathetic. That's on them. It's their fault, not yours. But you should never neglect yourself. You should want what's best for you. You have to want to be safe. You should want to be better, want to be safer, want to be stable. You must love yourself enough to want better. That's the problem. A lot of you lack self-worth and you don't properly value yourself. That's why you're in this darkness. That's why you have those toxic relationships that you're still involved in. And other people thinking, why is he or she still involved with those people? That's why you lack communication skills. You don't develop proper communication skills, because good communication starts with valuing yourself, and by valuing yourself, you also value the people you're involved with. But how can you value the people you're involved with and have safe interactions with them if you don't even value yourself properly? Look, if you need counseling and therapy, go for it. Get your counseling and therapy. Do what's best for you. I encourage you. Are you willing to lie to yourself? I hope not. Anyway, Keep agreeing with Christ, and I see you in the next live stream.